like, I open my eyes, and it's like a shadow just disappears and slinks back.
Hey, it's Rob here, a little pre-thing. We're still figuring out technical stuff, but bear with me as this story is a phenomenal one of just the childhood home that they're currently living in with a bunch of paranormal activities, from hearing things, getting touched and grabbed and pushed. This one is really phenomenal, as in just ghostly, seeing things, hearing things. I can't wait to get going here. Sorry for technical difficulties still, just because we're still trying to figure out like tech and stuff and kind of get things. Like, you get people live and you kind of gotta get going when you think your machines work. You think they work. So any suggestions, would love to hear them in the comments or DM me. Love to hear it. Anyways, here we go.
Should I go from the very start of the story?
The very start. Yeah, let's start from the beginning.
Okay, so this was the first instance where I'd ever, like, I've been a believer my entire life, but, like, this was the first instance that I was genuinely terrified, like, full body tremors. So I had this bed when I was about maybe 14 or 15, and it was like a loft bed, and underneath it was like there was space for a desk, but it was really tall, so there was space enough that my older brother, who's 6 foot, could like comfortably crouch underneath it. So one day, it was the middle of summer, I was up in my room, I was avoiding my family, I was being a brooding teenager, I just wanted to be left alone, and I didn't know that I was actually home alone. So I took off my headphones, and I shut down my laptop. My room was pitch black, and I heard a very distinct, like, male voice underneath my bed, and it said my name. It just went like, Ellie. So I assumed, because I had not known that I was home alone, that it was my older brother. And so I was like, okay, this is fine. And then 2 seconds later, it was way louder right beside me. So I freaked out. I kind of hopped off my bed and I ran downstairs. I grabbed a knife and I called my dad. He is a firm non-believer. He has never once had any paranormal experience that he believed in. He's always tried to like write it off as something. And so he kind of pushed me off a little bit. He was like, "You're fine. All the doors and windows are locked. You're okay." So I called my brother. He didn't pick up. I went back upstairs and I checked every room, holding out this little knife. And in the end, there was no one in the house. I didn't sleep in that room again. That night, I went downstairs and I slept in the sitting room with my dog, because that felt a little bit safer to me. But that was the first time I was truly and fully baffled and terrified by something that I thought wasn't like human.
I remember in the story you said like you literally slept with the knife beside you with your dog there, and I'm like, yeah, I'd probably do the same. Just in case. Right? Honestly, terrifying stuff, like to hear those voices, and not just once but twice.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's very bad. But at the same rate, it could have... I don't want to try and explain it off or anything, because I was fully awake, I was fully conscious, like it wasn't... I don't know, as I said, I was 15, I was old enough, I was conscious enough to understand and to kind of realize, like, it sounds silly, I think, but I feel like you can tell when there's a malevolent presence rather than something that might be friendly, and it's just the way that it kind of gravelled out my name. It sounded threatening, and that's kind of what got me. It's the way it was said. It was chilling.
Like, it kind of gave you the like heebie-jeebie vibes, you know?
Yeah, because I freezed the first time that I heard it, because I was like, okay, I can't let my older brother know that I think, this is scary. And then the second time, I froze for like 1 second and I bolted. It was the craziest experience of fight or flight I've ever had. I didn't actually know which one I was going to do, and I was so surprised whenever it was flight.
Wow. Honestly, like, living through in the moment too, like your adrenaline's pumping when you hear it.
Mm-hmm. It was insane.
So,
pardon, sorry. You're okay.
No, you go ahead. You got more to add there, and I want to hear it.
I was just gonna say, it's definitely not the worst thing that's happened in that house.
Oh man. You were also talking about family members going through situations like that. Is there more before that situation, or?
Oh, definitely. See, my older brother and me would be like the most tuned in with these kind of things. My little sister, she's 14 now, so she would have been around kind of 12, 11 whenever we moved in. And she doesn't really believe in any of that stuff, but she does. But within the first week of us moving in, my older brother had a house party, which, you know, that's pretty typical Irish teenagers drinking. And it was just kind of him and his buddies. We weren't like fully moved in, so it was kind of, you know, just like old furniture and all. And one of his friends started kind of freaking out because, one of his friends had taken something. We don't know what it was, but he started freaking out. Like, this man must have been about 19 or 20, like rocking back and forth. He was terrified.
So, as taking something, you mean like narcotics or drugs?
Yeah, but all that he had with him was like a joint. Which, to be fair, crossfading, you know, it's not going to be good, but I've never heard of anybody experience very bad hallucinations with just weed and a little bit of drink. So I'm not too sure. I can't say this is fully accurate either. The story's been retold to me a couple times. But yeah. He was rocking back and forth. They were up in my brother's room, which is opposite me in the house. It's like it's on the completely other side of the house. And he said that he felt like somebody was watching him, and he went into the bathroom to like clean his face because he just wasn't feeling good. And he was like, no, there was a grown man standing behind me, I swear to God. Which was kind of freaky.
Grown.
Like, whenever he said a grown man, he said like a grown man, like 50 years old. Like, he said that he had thinning hair, he looked grey and sickly, but he still looked like a human, but he was behind him. And as I said, he was under the influence, so it's not definite. But even now to this day, he swears that he saw someone behind him.
It almost seems like it relates to like the voice you were hearing, you know? Do you think that was kind of like the age you were hearing?
Yeah, definitely. See, that's the thing. That's why I was so kind of taken aback when I first heard it, was because, as I said, my older brother is a young man. Like, he's a man. He's not an old man or an older man. And it's like, it was just like the kind of timbre in the voice, like the graveliness. It sounded like an older person who'd been smoking for a lot of their life. I think, you know, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions, but I think you're right. I think there might be a connection there.
Wow, that kind of like brings almost validation to like what you were hearing, you know? That seems like the next situation there.
Mm-hmm. And like, it's not the only thing we've heard in the house, because my family recount hearing me a lot, like in my room. They'll say that I'm yelling or I'm crying or I'm laughing in my room, and I won't even be home. I could be at work, or I could be at the gym, or I could just be at a friend's house. And this happened kind of similar, like very close to the same time that after I heard the grown man under my bed.
Wow. So not only her, but having people come over and just be like, I am seeing something in your washroom. That's wild. Honestly. Like, to bring it to, I know, like, I have some situations in my own house, and when the wife kind of looks at me and be like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. It feels so, okay, I'm back. It feels so, not invalidating, I wouldn't say invalidating, but it's so frustrating sometimes to not have somebody believe you.
When you live so close to each other, right? Like, your dad lives with you and be like, you've never experienced this, you know?
Exactly. It's like, sometimes it makes me feel crazy, you know? What was I just speaking about? I forget.
So we just finished talking about your brother's friend seeing something in the bathroom, I believe. And we were talking about.
Yeah, we're on to people hearing me in the house whenever I'm not there, which is quite spooky. It's a pretty common thing now. Everybody in my family just accepts it. And the first time it happened was maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I heard the grown man underneath my bed. So I was out at a sleepover, as most 15-year-olds do on a summer night, you know. And my brother and sister were in his room. I think they were playing a game, or she was watching him play Call of Duty. And they heard me cackling, laughing, like roaring laughing. And of course, I wasn't home, and I can't deny that I've got a loud laugh. But they got really frustrated because it was really loud, even though they were on the other side of the house. So my younger sister went into my room, and whenever she opened the door, there was nobody in my room. So she called my brother in, and the exact same thing, just I wasn't there. So he called me, and whenever I picked up, he told me to come out from wherever I was hiding. I obviously was like, I'm not home. He said, I don't believe you. I put on my camera, and he just hung up.
Just hung up?
Yeah, he just hung up. Like, I didn't hear the story until the next day. Because they're both very shaken. That's... Like, he's a grown man. He's 6 foot something. He goes to the gym. He's the type of guy that, like... I hate to say it, but he would win in a fight, you know? He's not a very easily scared person. But since then, it's just been kind of more often. Like, my sister just knows now that if she doesn't think I'm in the house and she hears people walking around in my room, or if she hears me calling her name, to not even, like, answer to it.
Wow. So they hear this loud laughter that resembles yours and looks in your bedroom and it's empty.
Completely empty. And the funny thing is like what they said is that it sounded like me, but it didn't sound like me. It sounded like my laugh, but it didn't sound like the right pitch or like the right, nearly like speed.
Ooh.
I know, it's very freaky.
Man, that just sent like tingles down. Like I just picture like a bit of like a roar behind it, you know, where they put like the bass behind the odd talk.
Exactly, like in the scary movies.
Yeah, right.
And since then, like, even my dad's accepted it, and he does not believe in anything paranormal, like, at all. He refuses. He's a strict Christian. He just does not even acknowledge it. But even now, like, he'll text me if I'm at work and be like, just heard you up in your room. So freaky. Lol.
What did you notice? Like there was a situation where it switched, where like you noticed he was kind of like picking this stuff up.
Definitely. Like 2 days ago, he had a really big experience that I think is gonna kind of switch his focus and maybe make him believe us a little bit more. So, my little sister, she is a handful, right? She's a handful. And she just picks up and leaves the house whenever she wants. He fully saw her walk from the kitchen to the sitting room, and then he went into the sitting room, she wasn't there, went upstairs, she wasn't there. He called her, she told him that she was out for a walk with her friends, and he was like, no, you're not. You're here. Like, I just saw you. Like, you looked at me. And she refused and turned on her camera. She was out on a walk, and she had been for like an hour and a half.
So like she was long gone.
She was long gone. And then he called me, and he was like, because we kind of look similar, me and my sister. He was like, where are you? And I said, I'm still babysitting. And he was like, oh, fuck off. And he hung up.
Oh no. Oh
Wait,
no.
Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, it's okay, you can swear. Wow. Oh wow.
See, like, I fully believe in spirits. I always have, but I've never had an experience so, like, physical, like you fully seeing a person like that. It's always like small glimpses, and that freaked me out. I wonder, he doesn't believe in it, but I think he will. He'll start to believe, I think.
Especially after that kind of situation, like your brother hang up and he does it too. Maybe there'll be more conversation that he can bring you.
I'd say so. Like, I think he does believe a little bit because there's only 3 things banned in our house, right? Narcotics, alcohol to anybody that's like under the age of 16. Okay, we're Irish, you have to start drinking eventually. And Ouija boards. He has told me fully to my face, he's like, if you ever played a Ouija board, you're never sleeping in my house again. You're getting adopted by whoever I give you off to. And I said that is fair enough. Like,
yeah,
I think there has to be a certain level of belief there for him to draw the line at Ouija boards, if that makes any sense.
it kind of sounds like the hear no evil, speak no evil.
Exactly. I think. No, I was gonna make a joke there, but that sounds horrible. I was gonna be like, my dad and your wife should go out for dinner, but I don't think so.
Right? That's like, would they bring up the conversation of it, or to be the fly on the wall? Where does the conversation go?
I would say because they speak no evil, I don't think they'd really speak about it much.
Right?
Since the whole stuff with like people hearing me in my bedroom, it's really been focused around my room for some reason, and I don't have any issues kind of with that. As I said, I'm a spiritual person. I'm very open to things. I'm a firm believer, like, if you don't give over control, then nothing's going to take control. But one thing that I feel like actually terrifies me is that I have these night terrors, and I wrote about them in my post. And the worst kind of experience that I have, and it happens really often because I've got insomnia. So with insomnia, you're more partial to have sleep paralysis because it's just about not getting enough sleep and then getting overtired, and it just makes you more partial to it. I see this manifestation of a fully grown man, like, I would say, as I said, like 40s, 50s, like an older dude. Not older, sorry, just more mature, of an older man. And it's almost like this scene in American Horror Story where they cut off this bull's head. And it's like they wear it as a mask. It's still dripping. Like, that's what normally gets me, is like the tap of like something hitting my floor. And as soon as I look, he's just there in the corner of my room. It's so freaky. It's pretty consistent as well. It's like once every couple weeks.
Once every couple of weeks, you have this nightmare, and you wake up and you can see the figure in your bedroom.
Yes, and it's normally always in the exact same places. And to kind of like combat that, I've started putting salt, which I know it might sound silly, but like salt in the corners of my room. I've started putting salt on like my doorway, but I've just had no change. It's, I understand it's a night terror though, or it's like a sleep paralysis, so it's easily explainable. It's just crazy that it's the exact same thing pretty consistently.
Yeah, on a weekly basis like that, it sums up to a large number there, especially if you're getting it. Like, it's probably got to be really vivid and just remembering it all, within a week. I usually Sorry, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's scary enough by itself, but it's the fact that like whenever you get sleep paralysis, like your auditory, like your hearing and like your senses are normally very affected. So like my whole body will tingle, and it's like I hear like disembodied screams at varying pitches, and I'll hear like breathing, and it's like a whole cacophony of my senses being attacked, and it's just terrifying.
Wow. Like, you don't have to, but like, could you go into the dream in more detail? Like, you're saying, like, someone comes up and like sculpts his head.
It's not even that. It's not that somebody does that. It's the fact that it's like it's on his body already, right? It's a goat head. And the bottoms of it, like the fur at the neck where it's cut, it's still dripping with blood. It's still like fresh. and he just kind of stands a little bit hunched over, like breathing heavily, and he's stark naked, not a sock in sight. And I don't know, I think the part that freaks me out isn't that he's naked or anything, it's just the eeriness as he just stands there and breathes. It's like a very like consistent rise and fall. It's like a, if you've ever seen like a nature documentary, it's like a cheetah waiting to like pounce on its prey, almost.
Kind of like a slow down but intense kind of chest breathing.
Yes, that's it exactly. It's like something out of it's like something out of a documentary. That's what it's like. It's very primal feeling.
Wow. So it's not like an elder man, but like an elder man figure with a goat head.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And it's like, I don't know how to explain it in any other way, but I was only told this recently. Because I was speaking about it to my dad, and then he was like, that's how Satan is depicted in the Bible, you know, a grown man with a goat's head. And so I started looking into it, and I just freaked myself out way more. Like way more. Not that not that I believe that I'm, you know, getting visited by the big man downstairs, but it's just very freaky. It's very harrowing, I believe.
No, it's wild. I just talked to someone who's dived into a bit of witchcraft, and he says he aligned to Lucifer. I don't know if there's like a difference between the devil and Lucifer.
I don't know either. I'm not wild religious myself, so I couldn't tell you. But
Right?
that's crazy. Like it's, you know, this sounds horrible, but it's so cool, but it's so crazy. Like it's so interesting to hear about that type of stuff.
Yeah, and the fact that it's coming to you like on a dreamly weekly basis. Are you still in that bedroom? Like you still living?
Yeah. I'm
You
still
are
in there now until September. And I'm really, this sounds so silly. I'm kind of upset that I'm leaving so soon. Because like having these experiences and kind of, although they are terrifying, like I don't know, I think it's so interesting. I think if it's in any way possible that it gives me something that other people don't have, or it's like these experiences are so vivid and they're shared by me and my siblings, it's kind of a way of bringing us closer together in a weird way.
Yeah, almost like surviving something. Like it doesn't sound like it really lashes out at you. Like you're not in physical harm besides like a weekly horror movie.
Like the worst thing I have is I wake up with bruises, but I could also just have really low iron. So I don't know. Um but my brother, he pretty frequently gets sleep paralysis as well, and he gets more kind of physical like entities. He recounted this like kind of short story to me I would say a couple months ago. He woke up in the middle of the night, you know, so he was kind of groggy, and he's got like an ensuite in his bedroom. So he woke up, he was literally standing at the toilet, you know, like doing his thing, and he feels someone push him, like physically push him, and he fell and he hit his head. Like he had a big gash above his forehead for like a week.
And this was on his bed. Like someone pushed him off his bed.
No, see, he was in the bathroom. See, he's got an ensuite in his room, so that's
Right.
like, yeah. So he was standing, like literally peeing, and someone pushed him. And the thing is like it was the middle of the night, so I will vouch for that. But whenever he's telling me the story, he said that it felt so real and it felt so like another human, like so physical, that it was just, there was no way he could have mistaken it for something, or he could have tripped over his own feet. And I believe him, I do.
And you were saying like your brother's like a protector fighter kind of type. So to
Mhm.
some push him over, like that'd have to be a surprise or like quite the physical push.
That's it exactly. Like he is a big dude. You know, he goes to the gym, he drinks creatine, I think. I don't know the names of these things. He just makes me help him make them. But he really does put a lot of effort into being a sturdy, protective type of guy. And if something, like, I couldn't push him over, I'm 5'9", 5'10". Like, I also go to the gym. He's a big guy. Like, he there would have to be a lot of effort to kind of push him around.
Has he like noticed anything else? Like, are the push-ins a constant thing?
He has kind of like longer hair. He's got like a mullet, and he says frequently he feels like people like playing with his hair lightly, or he'll feel people like pulling on his clothes. And he says that both of those don't feel malevolent. They don't feel bad. Just the time that he got pushed. But there was a time, my dog normally sleeps in my brother's room, and because of that, my brother was in college. My dog wouldn't come into my room, so I was like, here, I'll just sleep in my brother's room. I had sleep paralysis. I went to sleep right beside the wall, and I woke up and I was halfway off the bed, and I'd felt people like pulling me.
Pulling you? Like, it felt like someone was pulling you.
That was the first and kind of last time I've ever had anything physical happen to me, and it was in my brother's room. Because as I said, I fell asleep right beside the wall, and he's got this big like queen bed, so it's a huge bed, and I kind of like felt myself slipping into sleep paralysis, and I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm in somebody else's room. Like, who cares? Because, you know, there's sometimes you can kind of almost jolt yourself awake if you get it at the right moment. But I just relaxed back into bed, and I felt like what genuinely felt like, I'd say 4 or 5 pairs of hands on me. And I could feel like the blankets and the mattress underneath me like moving. I could feel like people like jostling on top of me. And when I finally came to, I was sobbing. I sat up and I was halfway off the bed. Like, one of my legs was on the floor.
Wow. So you're laying there and, you know, like that drowsiness of your body kind of going? Is that what you're saying with like the sleep, I always butcher this word, paralysis?
Yeah, no, you got it. That's kind of
Okay.
what it is, yeah. Like, I was... Because there is times where you can pull yourself out of it, where you can kind of, you know, like, jolt yourself awake, but I just was not bothered. I was exhausted, and I decided, okay, 2 minutes, and then I'll be able to go back to sleep. And it was just... It felt like it went on forever. It felt like it went on for maybe 5 minutes in comparison to what's normally between 30 seconds and 2 minutes.
And you felt like hands grab your body, like your arms and your feet and stuff like that?
I felt I felt them kind of pulling from one direction, but I felt like the weight of people like on the mattress was all around me. And whenever I kind of... See, I actually haven't thought about this in a while because it was really freaky. Like, whenever I think about it, like, it felt maybe like more than 4 or 5 pairs of hands. It felt like a lot of kind of pressure on me. My arms and my torso got the worst of it, though. Like, I had this big bruise under my torso after, but nowhere else in my body.
So not only were you left hanging halfway off your bed, but you had like physical bruises on your body.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's like the only time I've ever been kind of physically disturbed. And I spoke to my brother about it, and he was like, yeah, that happens, you know, just get on with it. Like, it's okay.
It's just okay. Oh man.
Yeah,
other people's pressure limits. Wow.
And since that, I've refused to sleep in my brother's room. Like, it was such like a definite experience for me. Like, it was so very real. It was just, it freaked me out so much.
Just hearing you, like, my heart is skipping a beat. Like, I would not want to feel that situation at all. Like, just hearing you pause and think about it, I'm like, oh my god.
Like, I think the only person that hasn't had a whole lot of experience would be my younger sister, because, as I said, she's very blissfully unaware. Like, she kind of believes, but she doesn't. But she's the person that hears me the most, because our rooms are super close together. And one This was recently, actually. This was maybe about 3 or 4-ish months ago. One night she came in to me and she was like, I really don't have a good feeling. Can I sleep in here? I was like, okay. So she came in, she stayed the night. And she says that in my I sleep scream, which is a bad habit. I sleep scream, I sleep cry, I sleep like fight. She said that in my sleep I sat up and I fully started shaking and like trying to scramble like away from the bottom of my bed, and then I just went back down. I have no recollection of this at all. Like, at all. I was not awake. And then later on that night, she said that I screamed so loud that my dad had to come upstairs and check on me, which I also just don't remember.
You were still sleeping through it, like getting up and screaming on two different like variables.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not a heavy sleeper. God, I'm very far from that. But it was just, it really shook her. Like, she was really scared. So she also now refuses to sleep in my room. It's kind of been an experience of like figuring out where things are most active in the house.
Do you ever get those dreams on like your sleepovers and stuff? You say you get them once a week. You ever test like being out of the room for a week?
When I'm out of the house, I normally, because as I said, like the insomnia, it's normally worse whenever I'm out of the house, so I find it harder to sleep, so I'll sleep for maybe 2 or 3 hours, but I never have experiences. Like, my best friend's house, she's also kind of had, like, iffy experiences, and that's the only other time I've ever felt anything remotely similar to what I experienced at home, and even then it wasn't bad at all. Like, as I said, you can feel whenever something's malevolent and whenever something's a more friendly type of spirit, and I fully believe that whatever's in my house, at least some of it, is very active and malevolent.
Wow, especially like here in your brother's room. Like, is there anything like you notice like walking by, or and you're getting
Very
voices and stuff?
the voices get to me an awful lot. They'll get to my brother sometimes because, see, he's out of the house. He's in college, so he's only home for holidays. But very often, like, my sister gets them sometimes too. Very often, more often than not, if I experience people calling me downstairs when nobody's home, and it's very clear. Like, I don't wear headphones. I'll hear it very clear, or I'll be sure that I heard my dad slam a door, or I'll go downstairs and a couple of like the presses or cupboards will be open for no reason at all, and nobody could be home.
Is it something like you walk and all the cupboards are closed and then you come back and they're open, or?
Normally it's a thing of like, I'll leave it for an hour, so I'll come down, I'll get a snack, and then I'll go upstairs, and then I'll come back down, and there'll be like 2 or 3, and it's always the same 2 or 3 that are like, one could be like a little bit creaked open, and then the other 2 could be fully open, or it could be any amalgamation of ways, but they're always kind of open. Like, they've always kind of done it themselves, and that could be down to a draft or something, but I don't think so.
Oh, I know. One thing I related to about your story is like I had a dream or a vision of just like horrible aura coming from one of my rooms in my house,
Mm-hmm.
and it has this horrible habit of having a little cabinet up on the ceiling. It's like just a little extra like storage, and no matter how much we close it, it always creaks open just the same amount. And it's like, is it the house shifting, or is there something more?
I'm just saying, I think we as humans, we can tell sometimes with these things. And if you get a bad vibe, you get a bad vibe, Trust your instinct.
Right? It's all we got, right? It's
Exactly.
kind of.
Like, sorry to get sidetracked, do you have a lot of kind of experience with the paranormal, or is it something that you're just super interested in? Do you have like a lot of personal experience?
So for me, I say I only got like two or three. One was very distinct, and then the others have been just little things around my house that I can't explain.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I always love explaining. In my town, there was abandoned college, and it would be something the kids would like to explore. They even did a movie in it called Silent Hill.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah, so they actually used the inside of it to go for it, and it was like grade 7 or 8 at the time. And for a birthday party, we all snuck in during the day.
Very cool. And did you have
And
a big experience?
yeah, it was weird. There's a part in between the church and the college, and it's like field, right?
Hmm.
And I kid you not, I felt the whole world turn to like brown and white. Like it was almost like an old film, but like not like the screen glare, where it got like fuzzy back in the day.
Yeah.
And I watched this little girl cross across through, and it's not a small gap, it's a big gap. And I'm asking the other guys, like, did you guys see that? Like, I thought we were the only ones here and no one saw it.
That's so freaky.
This is the weirdest part. And I gotta say, like, thank you for asking me this because I love sharing my little ghost story here. But my buddy, his mom liked to go to the college because they lived like right beside it and take photos at different times of the night or day or whatever. And they're like, we only have one photo. And they pull it up and they zoomed in on a single window, and it was the same little girl in the window reflection.
That is so scary, but also so cool.
Yeah. So I still had goosebumps realizing it was the same little girl I saw running, because it wasn't a small gap, like between the church and the thing. Like you gotta walk for like 2 minutes.
That is crazy. And like, what did you feel whenever you saw that?
Well, when I was in the moment, it was kind of just like a different vibe. Everyone's like, "Oh, I didn't notice." It was a birthday party. Got young, pre-teenagers. You know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, that moment of the photo, I was in complete shock. I don't think I talked about it for like 3 days.
Oh my gosh, like this was like a big kind of yeah, no, actually that's very understandable. Like this was something crazy. And you probably felt a little bit crazy because nobody else seen it.
Yeah, just one of those like, oh, no one else seen it, but then they're like, oh, we caught this, and I'm like, oh God, I saw that.
Well, you must have felt super validated.
Yeah, it's kind of just exploring, and especially hearing other people's stories, like it's just like you can never really explain it. You can just believe what you believe in. And
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like I think that's super cool though. And that's a good story as well.
thank you. Thank you.
Um
Your house there, like your little sister says she hears voices, like, and you're normally not there when these are happening, or is it like in the middle of the night where you're sleeping?
it can't see it's normally when I'm not home, but there's been times where I've been downstairs or I've just been in the bathroom and she'll hear me. And something that really got to her was this was a while ago. I could not even tell you how many months ago, but it wasn't like I'd say it's between like a year and like a year and a half ago. Um she was convinced that I was knocking on her door being like, Danny, come outside right now, you're in so much trouble, like come on. And whenever she opened the door, I just was not there. And then she closed the door again, she fell asleep, and she felt like full on banging, like a whole lot of like two arms knocking against the wood of the door, very powerful, like the door was shaking. And I was asleep in the room next to her, like I didn't hear any of this. She waited it out up until the morning, then she came in to me and she was like, what is wrong with you? Like, why were you doing that in the middle of the night? She asked my older brother, she asked my dad, nobody else heard it, but she was fully awake as this was still happening. Like, she woke up to it and then she was fully awake. And that one freaked me out too.
Wow, yeah, especially in the middle of the night, hearing your doors like be bashed upon and no one waking to like be, what is that?
Mm-hmm. Because that's like a big thing with like kids, I suppose, is like, oh well, my parents are downstairs or my parents are upstairs or like they're a couple rooms away. If something happens, they're gonna hear me. And I think it's just the fact that nobody else heard it. Probably, I feel like that kind of burst that little bubble. If that makes any sense.
100%. Like if she's saying like it's two arms going against the door, like that's a whole like aggressive knock.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And since she's not had anything like that happen, but she said that what made it so scary was the fact that it was me, because I'm quite a soft-spoken type of person. I don't really get violent, and she said that she thought that I was gonna like kill her. I wasn't, I would never do that, but she just got really freaked out by it because she was just so sure that something had happened and I had like a mental breakdown or something because of how violent I was being.
and this was at the same night as the door, or another situation
No,
where
that
she
was the
like
same night.
physically saw you.
That was the same night, where she heard me like yelling through the door. And like whenever the door was getting banged on later, it was completely silent. But the first time, which was like maybe an hour before, she was fully awake. She wasn't sleeping at all at this point. As the door was getting banged on, I was yelling at her that she was in so much trouble and to get out here. And I was apparently calling her names, which I don't think I call anybody.
Wow. And did she like hear you shuffle back to your room?
No, she
Are
said
there
it
any
just
words?
stopped. Like, she said it just stopped, and she heard maybe one or two steps, and then that was it.
It just fades to darkness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like, I feel bad for the poor kid, because she doesn't understand any of this stuff. She's too kind of young to want to, I suppose.
Yeah, especially if they're not like questioning or whatever, you feel like, hey, like I'm not doing this to you or even awake to notice.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think she's kind of started believing a little bit more. Like, she believed, but she didn't. I think Dad's kind of getting into it. Because I haven't actually told anyone this, wait. So, whenever we first moved in, we had this like smoke detector. And more often than not, we would see like droplets around the smoke detector. And they were like blood colored, but they definitely, it couldn't be blood because it was like on our ceiling. So once every couple of days, I'd have to stand on a chair and wipe away whatever substance this was, and it was like thick and viscous, and it wasn't leaking from anywhere. It was like dotted on. And nobody believed me. They thought that I had done it. They thought that I was going crazy until one day Dad came up the stairs, and he like saw it dripping down onto the floor.
So
And
this,
since, yeah, pardon?
sorry, so this red light substance would drip through the fire alarm.
Yeah, kind of like around it. And we kind of put it down to like, oh, it must be a mold in the ceiling or something, but it just wasn't. Like, it just wasn't. Like, we made up excuses, but no, I can't believe any of them.
Oh, you guys like took the fire thing down, looked for water damage, and there was nothing there, like mold and.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we looked, and there was no way that, like, the plastic could have the paint coming off of it or anything. We did double and triple check, but there was nothing, and we put it down to, oh, there must be mold or something. There must be, something on the wall that's reacting with oxygen or whatever. No, I don't believe any of it. I fully believe that it was just, like, not blood. I know that sounds so, like, typical horror movie. But no, it was just weird. It was unsettling more than anything. And this was kind of before any big things had happened apart from my brother's friend.
Like physically seen an aspect of that besides like the pushes and handprints and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I think that in a weird way it was like a little bit of like a warning. Like there's gonna be something weird happening here, and I don't think, as I said, I'm kind of nervous to be moving out. I don't really want to because I do actually love living in that house. I love the weird experiences. I think it makes it more like our home. But there is like stuff like that. I don't think can be really written off as, you know, good or bad. Whereas there has been like the living room is a hot spot for bad stuff to happen, like an absolute hot spot. Because I love watching movies and falling asleep on the couch, and our couch is kind of in the middle of the room, so there's a lot of space behind it for, you know, whatever, people to walk past or whatever they need to do. I fell asleep, I would say maybe I would say a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and woke up and I felt like there was a person like over me, like from the back of the couch, leaning over, like face to face. I open my eyes, and it's like a shadow just disappears and slinks back to the back of the couch. And I stood up, I checked, no one was there, and it was a shock. Like I went in to my almost a grown woman. I went in and I started crying to my dad. I was sobbing. It was the most malevolent anything has ever felt in that house.
So you had the gut feeling that someone was watching you, and you open your eyes, and it was just like a black shadow as it started dissipating, like a slither down the back of the couch.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Like it was like the goat man thing is very malevolent, but this felt the most like evil. It felt the most scary. And like we've seen stuff like that quite often, you know, like shadows on the walls, and you know, that's pretty bang average. But it was the fact that like this time I've never been shook with that much fear that I've started sobbing to my dad like a child.
You ever try like recording this stuff? Like if you know what's happening when you're sleeping, you ever?
I actually need to invest in a good camera because I've thought about it and I want to do it. I do want to see what happens whenever I'm not aware. Because even just to see about like my sleep screaming and crying and punching and kicking, you know, I'd love to see what that looks like from the outside. I want to see if there's anything causing it.
Yeah, like one thing is like waking up in the middle of the night and seeing like you're not where you are, but to see while you were in a like in a sleep state,
Yeah,
you're doing stuff. Huh.
exactly. It would be good to see what that's doing to my body, to see what's happening as I sleep.
Wow, honestly, that shadow above me, like I stopped breathing when you said it was there. Jeez.
Because normally with these things, it would be kind of like, okay, you feel it, but you open your eyes and it's there for a split second and then it's gone. It was a long moment where I felt it and I seen it and then just gone. And I don't know, I think that was the scariest thing is like normally with spirits and all, they don't want to make themselves that known or they'll hide and be playful. But it was so glaringly obvious that there was something happening right in front of my eyes.
Honestly, thank you for like sharing all these stories. They were truly bone chilling. Like I couldn't imagine actually being in yours and your family's eyes, like dealing with this stuff. I love hearing about it. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Thank you for listening. I just think it's great to show these experiences. I think it's good for people to know about them. And I think, in a sense, it brings people together because there's nothing more kind of human than fear. Everybody feels it. And I think it's one of those things that can bring people together.
It's true. Like, why hide this stuff, you know? Like, when we can all talk and communicate and learn from it, I think that's the best part about being human.
Exactly. You're so right. I've just got to say, thank you so much for this opportunity. I've had a great time. I'm good at talking, so.
Oh, thank you, Ellie, taking time out of your day, finding you on Reddit and then hearing it live. Like, it was just like a whole new experience from just reading it. So.
I had so much fun, and I really did appreciate this opportunity. And thank you to anybody that's listening, because this was great fun.
Before you go, is there anything you suggest to people who are living through almost the same kind of situation? I know you're saying like a lot of it's like a nice feeling for you to have that like individuality. Is there anything you'd like to tell the internet?
Yeah, I personally think, right, it is a great feeling to have that individuality, but with things like spirits, it is genuinely mind over matter. If you are terrified, you can be terrified. If you don't let something in, if you don't let something affect you, it's not going to affect you. Okay, it's one of those things where it is fully mind over matter, and I suggest fully to anybody going through the same stuff like me to embrace it. I think it's, as I said, the individuality. Yeah, it's cool to know that there's something happening to you, and sometimes it's for a reason, sometimes it's not. But I think it's one of those things that should be embraced.
Awesome. Thanks again, Ellie. I really appreciate you coming on, and I'll let you go on babysitting.
Thank you so much. I had lots of fun.
Have a good day. Bye now.
You too. Bye-bye.
Oh, what an amazing experience. Like, honestly, I just feel so energized and like experiencing hearing these people one-on-one with these. So if you guys are sticking around now, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me. This is Oops All Ghost. So if you do want to share your story, if you want to be and have a conversation like that with me, feel free to hit Oops All Ghost. There's no exclamation mark in there at gmail.com. Or any of the social platforms. I'm reading all of them. I'm posting. I'm doing stuff. This video will be on YouTube right now. It is the 28th, so in about 2 weeks here on Sunday, it'll be out. So see you in the future. Guys, thank you. Thanks for sticking around. Lights flicker cold and a breath in ear. Tangled in webs where the past appears. Tell me your truth.